dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, oh, why can't oh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like a lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dreams that you dare to, why, oh, why can't
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Once again, we are here at the Let's Connect session. First off, just want to wish everyone a happy holiday season. It is that I really love this time of year personally, but we totally understand that we all come into this time of year feeling very different emotions and we connect in several different ways. So once again, we have our partners here from the Winters Group to really lead us through a mindfulness to ease session, right? Holiday has many feelings, many things that it brings, and we thought this would be a great way to open it up. So once again, we have Kevin Carter, Vice President of Strategy and Assessments from the Winters Group, and we have Rochelle Yunan Montgomery again here, instructional designer from the Winters Group. Really happy to have you all back and anxious to hear what you have to say to really guide us through this session or this season as we started off. So without further ado, I'm going to open it up to you all.
Thank you so much, Sean, and it's really good to be here with you all. Happy to get this time. I was saying before we joined, like these practices are helpful for me too, right? Personally. So the chance to get to do this is it's just really exciting. So we're going to introduce ourselves for anyone who doesn't know us or have been on with us before. My name is Rochelle Union Montgomery, and my pronouns are she and her. And with my role at the Winners Group, I'm a facilitator, instructional designer, and recently, as of this past year, a published author with our book, Racial Justice at Work. I'm certified in somatic abolitionism through the teachings of Resmaa Menakem. And I'm also an avid yoga and meditation practitioner. I'm actually getting my yoga teacher training certification. Just started that process, so it's very exciting. So I like to use a lot of these sort of healing modalities in my facilitation. And I'm a cisgender, queer, biracial, Egyptian and white woman. I'm a mother of two, a partner, sister, a first-generation college graduate, and daughter of an immigrant. I reside in the U.S. in Minnesota on the sacred lands of the Dakota people. Kevin, I'd love to turn it to you.
Yes, thank you very much. It's always good to be with Rochelle for these sessions. As she says, we need it as much sometimes as the participants, particularly around this time of year and the work that we do. So my name is, got a little bit of a cold, I'm battling that, so I'll try to speak up. My name is Kevin Carter. I serve as the Vice President of Strategy and Assessments for the Winners Group. I am a cisgender male, a husband, a heart attack survivor, a vegan, I'm a video game player, a baby boomer. And I really do have this dedication to try to be, I would say, a non-anxious, affirming, empathetic, and results-oriented individual. And that can be really challenging given the work that we do in these times. I live on Orcas Island in the northest of Northwest, maybe about an hour from Vancouver. It is the ancestral lands of the coastal Salish people. And so I'm really proud of where I live. As I mentioned, I do strategy and assessments for the Winners Group and been working with Mount Sinai, boy, for more than 2 years. A lot of work has been done on their equity and anti-racism roadmap, and just really excited to do that. I also do coaching. I use the intercultural development inventory for that, and also for LIFO. For those of you who are familiar with Myers-Briggs, I am a ENTJ. And so that means I'm an extroverted thinker. And sometimes extroverted thinkers try to kind of use their reason and their will to sort of control the world and get things done. So you can imagine I can be I can really frustrate myself. Excited to present today and really an honor to be with you.
Thank you. It makes me think I need to take Myers-Briggs again. It's been a while. I think Kevin, for those who haven't worked with Kevin, has just such a deep level of self-awareness through these different tools. And so it can be so enlightening. And he supports our team in that too. So just to open up the framing a little bit for today, we're going to share some stress relief practices to cope with the really common stress that happens this time of year. And these practices have helped us personally in settling the nervous system, regulating breathing, and shifting toward ease and rest. And we hope that regardless of your role, whether you're faculty, staff, a trainee, or a student, that everyone here can really benefit from these simple practices for your well-being. And we also want to share, like, neither Kevin or I are licensed mental health professionals, right? So we want to be upfront there that these are things that have helped us personally in our work, and that this is an offering, and that our hope is, that they're helpful. And so take what's helpful and leave what isn't. A lot of this is lifting up voices of our own teachers and mentors in this work and our spiritual and mindfulness journeys. So I want to start just by saying that Jon Kabat-Zinn, who is a really sort of well-known mindfulness practitioner, says that the definition of mindfulness is paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. And so we'll be inviting in practices and sharing some different ways for you all to sort of just tune in non-judgmentally with compassion. Where is your breath? Where's your body? Where are your emotions right now? How to do an assessment of that. Kevin's going to support us through an exercise with that. What are the unmet needs? So we'll do some of that work. We're going to open with some breath work to start, just to ground us in and get us ready for the time together. So take a moment to turn off distractions of any kind. This is your time. So to the extent that you can, close out email, text, shut down all the things and just be here and be present with yourself and your body. Notice your surroundings. Just tune in to the temperature, the sensations, the clothes on your body, where you're seated, and begin to deepen your breath. And if you can, try to breathe into your belly. So belly breathing is diaphragmatic breathing, which tells our vagus nerve that we're safe, that it puts our body in a space of rest and digest as opposed to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So we're starting to just let ourselves settle in and know that we're safe in this moment here and now. Notice your jaw, unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders, open your palms, and just invite yourself to simply be. And so I'm going to share a method called box breathing, which is supportive in regulating and calming your nervous system. So you'll see an image on my screen, and in the same way that a box has 4 equal sides, I invite you to take a breath in for 4 counts, and then hold for 4 counts. Breathe out for 4 counts, and hold for 4 counts. And continue with this for about 1 minute. And if at any point you are lightheaded or it feels like you can't get enough air or it feels too much, don't push it. Do what works for you. Do what feels good for your body. Good breathing. I can feel y'all breathing out there through the screen. Good breathing. Stay with it. And on your next exhale, just invite you to come back to a regular rhythm of breathing. And one thing from last time I think that would have been helpful that I'd like to introduce here is just a little simple movement of like shaking out some of the energy that you had. So whether it's like before you came to this session, so shake out your arms, your wrists, just start to metabolize some of the stress and some of what you're bringing that we all, I think, are feeling right now. Just sort of move around a little bit and allow that to move through and metabolize through your body. So just want you to notice what feels different in your mind, your body, and your spirit, and remember that you can come back to your breath at any point. This is your life force, and so hopefully this is a simple tool to help support you, especially in this time of year. I want to do a card reading briefly from Tricia Hersey for those of you familiar with her work. She has her work around rest as resistance and radical self-care and community care. And if you don't know of her, highly recommend looking up her work. But I received her rest deck as a gift, and it's been a really powerful and important reminder for me as I do my work. And so this one, I think, is great, that says, I am not a machine. I am a divine being, and I can rest. So to wherever you can find rest, Tricia talks about like snatch rest wherever you can. If you can't take a nap, if you can spend 5 seconds shutting down your eyes just to get a break from the screen. Be strategic and be vigilant about snatching rest when you can in this season. So I hope that's helpful. And now Kevin's going to, and before that, sorry, I forgot one more thing. Just in terms of invitation for presence, practice radical self-care. Release the need to caretake if you can in this moment. Particularly for femme folks and women, that's something we are socialized to do. So it's an invitation, like you have permission not to caretake anyone else but yourself. There's nothing to produce, nothing to prove. Come as you are and be kind to yourself. We'll do some breath work like we just did. We'll do some other ways of breathing and guided meditation. We'll have some music that I'm going to play. So I put in the chat in the beginning, if you have headphones, if you have noise canceling headphones, even better. But if you have headphones, please get those if they're nearby or accessible, which will enhance sound bath that we're going to do in the session. So without further ado, Kevin, I'd love to hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I want to talk about the physiology of inclusion. It was something that my wife and I first created maybe about three or 4 years ago. And now Rochelle and I have been fine tuning and really integrating in our work. And we're supposed to be writing a book about it, but we got to get on it, Rochelle. We got to get on it. We're behind. So the physiology of inclusion is this a comprehensive system. It's a comprehensive system because it has these foundational components that really get you ready, kind of fuel your system. And then these enabling components where, okay, where do you put that energy toward? And the reason it was created, you see this enhancing the well-being of diversity, equity, inclusion, justice practitioners, was that we found that in this work, again, there was so much increasing polarization, so much anxiety, so much stress that it was really hard to get things done. So we really created this methodology and this framework to be able to foster fairness, to foster belongingness, to foster justice, to foster equity. And so, it was probably the most important addition to the work that I did this year. A lot of work that didn't get done or got stopped in its tracks maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We were able to continue to do it because we always say we help people establish the right presence. The presence to be, to learn, to do, to impact the workplace and themselves. So this is the physiology of inclusion. And again, we're really, really excited to share it with you. And then the different things that we've done hang from it. You can see how the breath work and some of the other things really hang from the elements of the physiology of inclusion. If you wanted to sort of, there's one kind of exercise I would just, I won't go into detail, but I kind of shared with you. And it is something called calling cards. And it literally it's a deck of 52 cards, and it helps you sort of identify your values. And so just something like that really helps you to come into your emotional presence and what it means and what your values are. And we're going to dive even deeper into that. And then, Rochelle was just kind of sharing with you a podcast that we did earlier in the year, and it was about finding your ease. So with that one, really the objective of that was to really help individuals raise we would say to do well, but also to be well, and have the right presence to really focus on equity and fair treatment and justice. It really, combined a lot of work that we had done. And so there were some kind of podcasts. So Rochelle she had a podcast where she did her guided practice, and it was focusing on really clearing away what's kind of stagnant, helping you reflect on your personal growth, embracing joy, and really making your actions more intentional. And it was just a wonderful, it hit me at the perfect time. And then I did a guided practice, and it explored insight dialogue. And insight dialogue, we did it when we had our last Let's Connect, but that was that relational meditation, and it fosters sort of that self-awareness and mindfulness for you to really pause and truly listen deeply to other people to understand their position, but then also strongly speak your truth, but speak it with kindness. So we do encourage you to listen to the podcast. We enjoy doing it, and I'm sure we'll be doing another one in 2024. Now I want to jump in. I guess I'll jump in and provide this. We're going to go over the foundational element. One thing, the way to think about the foundational elements is it's just the bedrock. It gives you that sort of, again, I always say the body battery. It'll fuel you. So literally you can put that energy into practice. And so this is all the physiology of inclusion. The different activities that we'll go through hang from the physiology of inclusion. So now we'll kind of dive into the foundational components. And so when you think about these foundational components, and you'll see a lot of this work that we've developed really has come from a lot of different people. But when you think about the foundational components, it really focuses on someone's, their energy, their presence, their empathy, their cognitive abilities, their critical thinking abilities. It's really supposed to give you a really healthy base when you think about this work. So, physical well-being is really essential, period. But we would say very, very important when you're doing diversity, equity, inclusion work. It's about, again, sustaining energy, clarity, and that may come through some self-care exercises that deal with exercise, healthy eating, adequate sleep. And you can engage in practices like yoga, stretching. I do Pilates almost every morning, some strength training. I need to do more of that. All that kind of, we would say, helps you maintain presence, patience. It reduces stress, and it lowers anxiety. And then the next element is emotional. And this idea about cultivating emotional well-being is really vital. And it can be really triggered this time of year, both positively and negatively. And so you can be engaged in things like, therapy and journaling, self-reflection that really focuses on emotional resilience. That example that I told you about, calling cards, is one that really helps you focus in on your gifts, that really raises your own confidence and gives you the confidence to engage with others through your strengths. And then we would also say mental presence. And this is, nurturing your mental wellness really, again, allows you to gain a broader perspective, we would say, helps you challenge your biases, develop some inclusive practices. So you can do things like reading, puzzles, um, continuous learning. It really does build critical thinking. I always try to say my video game playing is a combination of emotional and mental. My wife challenges me on that. But anything that really helps you build, we would say that neuroplasticity is really, really important. So these are really these foundational elements of the physiology of inclusion: physical, emotional, and then the mental.
Can I invite folks to even just chat in some things? Like, I think one of the powerful things about being in community together is that y'all could hear from each other, right? So, what do you do for your own physical health? Because it's going to look different, right, for different people, and depending on where you are in life and what your values are. So, I want to invite that in the chat. What do you do for your physical, emotional, and/or mental wellness? And we can keep going. I just want to throw that out there and see if folks want to share, because it can be helpful for you all to see each other's.
I see. I love video games, and so I always like that. We always say about that's good about hand-eye coordination, but it also is one where if you do it right, see video.
Oh, I think you froze, Kevin.
Oh, did I freeze?
Oh,
my bad.
Kevin, you're actually
You're-
good. I think it was you, Rochelle.
it's me. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. I was saying, particularly if you do it in the right way, you enter the game in a right sense, and we probably know what is the right way to enter into a video game, and maybe the least in a not productive way. Other things that people are doing. Again, this idea of what kinds of things do you do to fuel your battery, and again, it's a really powerful way. Kind of fitness, croquet. Oh, wow, like it. I like it. Okay. Taking a walk. All right. Um, and the powerful thing here is if you think about um, the energy that patience takes, if you think about the energy that listening with your whole body takes, if you think about just the energy, it requires to come up with a new idea and to be creative. All of that comes, we would say, depending on how you take care of your foundational components. Sewing, I love that one. Good.
Great. I brought us to the next piece around enabling, if you want to.
Yeah, so now we think about the enabling. Part of this is putting this to work. And so for us, that is about how you connect to a higher purpose, how you're building relationships, and how you're taking practical steps to drive change. And so you can see the connection from foundational to enabling, because now again, toward a higher purpose. How will I apply my body battery to a higher purpose? How will I apply my body battery to relationships and collaborations on relationships? And then how I apply my body battery that I develop in that toward driving change, fostering equity, doing fairness. And so we want to dive into the components. And so when you think about this, we think about spiritual, social, and pragmatic. And we can all, even as we think about these six, we all know that some of these we might do better than others. But we think about the spiritual presence, it's this idea of, can I connect to something that's higher and greater than myself? And if I can, that builds resiliency and that gives us meaning in life. And so practices like meditation and prayer, communing with nature, they all really allow all of us to sort of pause, to reflect, and to refocus our efforts to things that are greater than ourselves. And so we would say the spiritual. Then the social, boy, if you're now focused on things that are greater than yourself, the social is, how am I really building support networks? How am I spending time with loved ones? By joining communities, engaging in meaningful conversations where, I'm not sort of looking at my phone and trying to have a meaningful conversation. I'm really focusing on that person and not on the phone to have that. That is really important for our soul, for our health, but also in terms of getting things done, which kind of then really, really flows into the pragmatic. And so, pragmatic, we would say presence is about fueling that energy to foster well-being, to center justice, to create things with people. And it could be small or large. I mean, how you focus your body battery and spiritual nurture to professional development, even time management, anything that, hey, I'm going to apply this towards something that would benefit myself, benefit others, benefit nature, benefit the world. You now really have sort of the foundation aspects to help you, and then the spiritual and the social. So those are the enabling components. One of the things about the physiology of inclusion is a lot of us want to quickly jump to the pragmatic. We want to get things done. I talked about being, learning, doing, and impacting. A lot of us want to quickly get to the impacting. I tell you what, you'll burn out pretty quickly if you haven't done some of those other things that we've talked about. So this is how they connect together. I really appreciate any thoughts, any reactions that you would have to the methodology, and even does this now have you think about how you go about your work differently than before?
I'll just say, Kevin, I love what you said about the body battery. That is really resonating, because when I'm depleted, I'm not effective in my, all the ways, relationally and in the work I want to be doing. So the way it builds, I think, is really important. And what we're wanting for folks to, I guess, hold closely and learn from this framework is those other pieces just don't end up falling into place the way you want them to when you're not tending to the foundational components that then, allow you to be more just open and dynamic in the enabling side of things. So similarly in the chat, what are your spiritual practices? What are the ways in which you deepen quality relationships with people around you? what are some of the practical ways that you can engage in life and being present and being mindful?
I appreciate the praying and that comment, and also that, you know, that affirmation around this idea of the energy that that patience takes. It's a lot of stuff we don't think about. Just things that, you know, we will always do naturally, but they do require something of us. Listening well, speaking clearly, being creative, connecting dots. All those phrases that you hear that represents really creative things, practical things, and social that people do, they require some of these other practices.
Esther Perel says the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of our relationships. And to some extent, I think the simplicity of the statement is really powerful, because I'm just seeing here Edith shared going out to eat with or preparing food for friends and family, like breaking bread in community is just the most powerful way to ground in and remind ourselves like who we are and surrounding ourselves with love. And so, thank you for the ideas. Thank you for sharing in the chat. Kevin, anything else on physiology of inclusion?
No, because we'll get a chance to dive into it. One of the exercises there, particularly that relates to a foundational aspect, emotional, but also has a way to impact mental, and then also the enabling, particularly pragmatic. So we'll get a chance to test it out a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. And that's what we're wanting to convey, like, here's a framework, and then now in this next half of our session, we're actually going to bring in practices that stem from these. Yeah, like Kevin said. So here we go. Let's get some practice with it. And so the next part of our session is going to be a sound bath. And if you've had a sound bath, it is, let me get back to my presentation one moment. It's something that can change the vibrational energy in your body. It's an experience where you're immersed in deep sounds and vibrations. It's rooted in this idea that there's particular frequencies that correspond to specific energy centers in your body. So the song I'm about to play, it's a 7-minute song. So while I'm explaining it and teeing it up, if you haven't had a chance to get headphones yet, I encourage you to do so if you have them. It's been a healing modality for me over the past decade or so. You'll hear vocals about halfway through the song recite Om Shanti. And in Buddhism, Shanti is generally interpreted as meaning peace. Often it's recited 3 times to open or close a practice, which represents peace in body, speech, and mind. So in other words, it's peace in the entirety of one's being. You'll also hear ocean waves. I just want to invite you to let this calm and soothe you. If you end up dozing off and missing your next meeting, maybe you needed that nap. Maybe it's okay. Just permission to relax here. And you can blame it on me, by the way. I'll take the blame if you miss your next meeting. So let's go ahead, settle in. I'm going to play a song, and I'm going to mute myself and then play the song. Like I said, it's 7 minutes, and then we'll come back and have some other practices to share.
peace in. Peace out.
Just inviting simple movement as you're coming back into your body and your breath. And as he said in the song, with each breath in, imagine breathing in peace. And as you breathe out, breathing out peace. In every interaction, in every work, responsibility, and everything, just an invitation to ground into and protect your peace, especially this time of year. And that you don't have to buy into the false, urgency. There are things that are urgent and there are things that can wait. So just empower you to stand in your power and know that you have the right and the responsibility to slow down when you can and to snatch rest, as Tricia Hersey says. So thank you for participating in that. I hope it was helpful. We have about 15 minutes left in our session. So for the next part here, we had a wise guide meditation, and I'm wondering, Kevin, maybe we can go into the next exercise, only because I want to make sure we have enough time.
Okay. I always I do my heart variability whenever we do that, and sometimes also do my blood pressure. So I didn't get any chance to do it, but I'm always amazed at the what my heart rate variability and blood pressure is like before I start a session than what it looks like when I come out of it. And I thank you for that, Roche. Thank you for that. So first, let me say that this is the exercise is identifying your emotional needs. And this may spark some emotions in you right now. So do want you to be mindful of that. And so if you need to, you kind of break away and or just kind of listen from afar and do the exercise when you think it's best for you to do the exercise, then do that. Emotions have long been recognized that really communicate some information to us. They provide us basically feedback about our personal needs and whether they're being met or not met. And so you think in general, then we'll do the exercise. Sometimes, a negative emotion could signal that, again, a need is not being met. Maybe you feeling excluded. Sometimes, obviously, we have positive emotions and they make you feel like a sort of a need has been met. So that's the kind of thing I just want you to take at a high level. And when you're naming these emotions, positive and negative, you're trying to get at sort of what might be the need that is being satisfied and the need that is not being satisfied. And so that allows you to have emotional presence. And then also that can go into your mental presence. And then you can act on that. And so then we talk about sort of the pragmatic presence. So it is an exercise that we think bridges the foundational and also the enabling elements. So we'll kind of dive into it. And so when you think about going to this here, and here we got, kind of 4 columns. So again, you're trying to identify kind of emotions. And so when you think about this exercise, I want you to kind of reflect on the past week and kind of pause for a moment and just reflect kind of on the past week. And I'm going to have you do that as I kind of walk you through an example, and then we'll talk more about it. So again, as we just kind of reflect kind of on the past week, and you're trying to reflect on both maybe those positive emotions and those negative emotions that you might have. So we would say, as you kind of would reflect on the emotions, whether you felt happy, maybe you felt relieved, maybe you were upset, you were perplexed. Really want you to kind of trust your emotions. And then it is about categorizing these emotions. And so you want to write them down, whether it was a positive emotion, and that would go in that first column. And then the need that might have been not met would go into that second one. Then the same thing, if you identify a negative emotion, it would go into that third column, and the need not met would go into the fourth. And so if we were to kind of think about that, and I think we might have an example in here that we can show, I can walk folks through. And you can pull them all up just in the interest of time. And we'll say, let's say, for example, as you think about this, that you felt joy. And actually, this actually came from a session. So I should say this actually came from a session. So one was joy, and this was that my daughter kissed me on the cheek and said that she loved me and appreciated me. And that's something that someone shared. What was the need that was satisfied? It was this validation. That was the need. And so one we would think about is, hey, let's call that out. How do I get more validation in my life? Is validation missing in my life? It's a whole bunch of things to start thinking about that can lead you to the action. Another one that someone shared was a negative emotion, which was this idea of fear. And it was that they had a family member, and then another person had a friend that tested positive for COVID-19. So for them, what was the need that was not satisfied? Safety. Meaning, now that this was out here, we all felt it, this idea that we all do need to be safe. What you do with this information is you step back and go on and have a lot of reflections for yourself and for others in your organization. For myself, I might go, do I have concerns about my safety? What are they? Why do I have them? Is there anything I can do about them? I can also say, am I creating a safe environment for others? Because if one of my emotions is fear and what was not being met is safety, wow, the thought that I would be causing fear for someone else distresses me. But what might I do to foster safety? My organization, is it a safe organization? So again, this is a really, really powerful exercise. Again, it is one that, as you did your reflection, if you're landing on things that you might say, well, you know what? Wow, Kevin, you just sparked something in me that I'm not really ready to handle right now in this work environment. Like, that is fine. We really want to just share the exercise with you. Part of, we would say, your physiology of inclusion, for your ability to be included and your ability to include others, is also being able to tap into your emotions. And we would say this is kind of one exercise to identify, what are the need that is being satisfied or not. Obviously, if a need's being satisfied, you want to keep doing more of that. Obviously, in the right moderation, not in excess. And then if something is not being satisfied, you want to figure out a way of how might I respond to that. I just want to pause for a minute and just like any kind of reactions, any questions regarding the exercise before we dig a little bit deeper.
I just want to share what I love about this is that you have both positive and negative emotions, right? It's so easy sometimes to get swept up in negativity, but to also recognize, and reflect, what are the times that I actually was enjoying a moment or that I felt a positive emotion, and how can I pay attention to do those kinds of things more? So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and as you reflect, really appreciate that. Again, hey, if you take a screenshot or this is kind of easy, 4 columns, a couple of rows to make this as a tool for yourself in your journal, you do want to ask yourself, what stood out for me most for the exercise? I try to do this at least. I always say I want to do it like every couple of weeks. It ends up being at least maybe once a month, but you really want to think about, so what stood out for you most? Maybe, what did you learn about yourself? Sometimes I learned that, most of my negative is either going back to the past about what I wish I'd have done differently, or fear of what might happen in the future. And my insight is, how about being present in the moment? Um, so again, another good reflection is, what might you do, learned, and for me, many times is, how about being present in the moment, and affirming who you are in the situation in the moment. And so any other thoughts, any other questions?
I want to put it out there too in the chat, like what emotions are you feeling in this holiday sort of season as we're winding
Yes.
down the year of 2023? Like, what are you feeling? Just to normalize that too and hear from each other, whether it's positive or negative, but like, what are the emotions you feel right now? Or just generally, have you felt in the last week or so, kind of with Kevin's prompting and the exercise? I'll share that I've felt anxious. There's a lot to do. Excited. Yep. Worried. What
Yeah.
else?
One thing that, if you're brave enough, I do this with my wife, and we do it separately, and then we'll share, and it can be eye-opening. But it also kind of deepens the relationship as well, as because many times there's maybe things how we responded to each other that were the reasons for some things we put in the chart. Other times there are things going on that we don't even know about, that are going on for each other, and whether in their work world or their own our respective family situations that we are impacting us a different way, that now we can share to have more empathy and abundance thinking for each other.
Yeah, I'm seeing overwhelmed in here twice, and I want to note that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and some strategies for overwhelm. Kevin, I'm curious if you have ideas, and I'm trying to think too, like when we're flooded, when we feel that we just can't, it's just too much. There's so many different reactions. I shut down sometimes, or if I'm overwhelmed, I feel like I can't do the next right thing, and I don't know, I get this tunnel vision. So what advice do you have around like over that emotion of overwhelm?
Yeah, I would say I go back to the foundational elements. And so things that you did about the box breathing and the sound bath, and the wise guide, I have that taped. Anything that does help you to slow down and break things apart. So anytime you felt overwhelmed, I'm feeling either there's a whole series of situations that are happening to me, and I'm experiencing a whole series of emotions. How do we begin to separate them a little bit? So it's some of that. Sometimes we always say we want to find we want to affirm ourselves and find the things that are good when we're feeling overwhelmed. But sometimes that's tough when you're feeling overwhelmed. For me, I go back to some of the foundational elements where I would go back and go, what can I do just to pause and force my body to pause, which sometimes that is that the breathing, the sound bath. You've got to let your body take over. And if your body takes over, and gives you some ease, then maybe that goes to your mind, and maybe that goes to your actions.
Thank you. Yeah. And yeah, if there's anything, I know we've got, watching the time here, 4 more minutes, and we have another guided meditation that's really powerful that Kevin's going to share. So before I segue us there, I want to just invite Kevin if there's anything else you'd like to share on this piece.
Oh, really, really appreciate that. And I want to encourage you to kind of try it, and try it with a significant other, spouse, or friend. It would be really enlightening.
And if you're a leader on a team, this is also a great exercise. Simple enough, right? But especially when you start to cover unmet needs, or uncover unmet needs for those on your team, those that you work with. You could even do this with a peer. But then it gives us more information about how we can support each other, right? As we're winding down the year, and there's a lot of stress and pressure for a lot of us. I just had a conversation with a colleague before this session around unmet needs and some really intense stress that a lot of us are feeling. And so it helps me to know how to support my colleagues better when I know what their unmet needs are, if there is that trust, right? So leave that to you all, but just especially for those who are in leadership, it can be a powerful exercise.
Yeah, and I would say if you choose to do it that way, which I think would really, really powerful, I would emphasize how you lead up to that with some of the things that you did around the box breathing, what you did, whether it's sound bath. I think Colleen mentioned there the idea of pausing. Anything that gets people to relax. We go back to what we did before around inside dialogue. I need to relax. I need to pause, relax, and be open before I can get to sort of be willing to change, listen deeply, and speak my truth. So just remember there's an order to it. You got to learn, do, and then impact. And this need one can be pretty far in the do and impact realm. Yep.
Thank you, Kevin. Yes, good point. Okay, I'm going to move to the next slide.
Yeah, so this is a meditation that I developed a while back, and I want to take you through it. It's a present moment, precious moment. So we want you to think about maybe that box breathing and feel comfortable. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply and out. I want to ask you to keep your eyes closed as we kind of go through it. It's not that long. It is something that I created after I had a heart attack. And it is something I go back to when when I feel like there's something going on in my body and I don't know what it is, and I start getting nervous. I try to go back to this. So I want you to really become aware of your breathing as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And then as you breathe in, mentally say this moment. And then as you breathe out, mentally say precious moment. So you're breathing in this moment, breathing out precious moment. Then one more time, this moment, precious moment. So I'd ask you to keep your eyes closed and kind of continue that breathing as I leave you with an affirmation. So in a world of noise, confusion, and conflict, you deserve a place of silence, discipline, and peace. Each breath you take is a reminder that the present moment is a precious moment. To live, to heal, to learn, to grow, to simply be. Be proud and grateful for your gifts and the uniqueness that you bring as you bridge with others, similar and different from yourself, to transform yourself, your family, your organization, this world. A few more breaths in, this moment, precious moment. When you feel comfortable, just gently open up your eyes. It's been a pleasure to be with you again. I needed this. I needed this.
Ditto. um, Listen, as always, this was great. I had to remind myself at certain points that I'm at work, so I can't just be sitting here with my eyes closed and then my boss walks by and it's like, "What are you doing?" Right? But Kevin, Rochelle, this was beautiful. This is really perfect timing. The strategies, the constant affirmations that you showed throughout this presentation were just spot on. And I think we are all going to find ways to incorporate this. Words are power, everyone. And I just want to remind all of you that as you go through the holidays, as you talk yourself through any moment that you're having or any situations that you're in, you latch on to these strategies, use them, and you know, scan the QR code. Please leave the feedback. We love having these sessions for you all, and we hope that these Let's Connect sessions are really bringing some of this mindful work home for every one of you. Thank you again to Rochelle and Kevin. Great session. And listen, I hope all of you have a great, happy holidays, and hope to see you at the next Let's Connect session. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.